What's up, everybody? It's the SouthSide boys here, and I think we are only the last three fans, or maybe the one away guys. But White
Don't
Sox
count
guys,
me amongst that.
huh?
Don't count me amongst that.
He said, "Don't count me."
Time to go.
I mean, listen, the White Sox guys have lost 13 in a row. They have not won since that game in Toronto. I think it was 5-1. Michael Kopech looked great, and that was the last time that they won a game. The Brewers, they got swept. The Cubs, they got swept. And it has just not been a very good time as a White Sox fan. So we're here today, guys. Everybody here in the chat, we're going to talk about it all and get you ready for another week to see if they ever end this losing streak or do they break the franchise record tonight. And then I was looking at the record what the longest was. It's only 28. I mean, they're only 13 away.
Halfway there almost.
So we almost, and if they lose 6 more in a row, they will officially be on the MLB like top 8 or whatever. So it's not been fun, and I am very disgusted to be a Sox fan. So Deech, we were talking, and before we get into everything, how are you feeling about this past week? And I know you got a lot to say today, so I'm excited.
I mean, the games themselves, it's just pathetic. The bullpen's awful now. The bullpen that was tolerable when they weren't hitting has now just decided to be completely awful when they do decide to hit. Yeah, they lost every single game since we last saw each other. So, I mean, there's really nothing to talk about. And then, of course, we got the nice national guys dropping news that Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet are being shopped. So, I mean, as a positive, optimistic fan, as I am, like, fuck that. If you like, fuck that. I just don't. It speaks volumes to Chris Getz going up on the podium and saying he was going to quickly turn this around. I just, how many more prospects do we need to have? Like, does the Birmingham Barons winning the minor league AA championship, does that really help your White Sox fandom, either of you? I mean, I don't know.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Listen, it's great and all, but I mean, again, we've seen it. I mean, yeah, no. Again, and I'll show something a little bit later on when we continue to talk about it, about something that they're already trying to compare these guys to the 2005 World Series, and that's all great and all that it's in AA, but let's see these guys come up and do the same thing in the major league, because as we've seen with guys that come up to the major leagues, and Lennon Sosa finally hit a home run in the MLB, which was nice to see, but, we'll talk about that Cup Series later, but these guys go and they come back up and they can't hit, they can't do anything right, and it's different, so I'm praying, so yeah. But like you said, there is a lot to talk about. So before we get into that, Justin, how do you feel about everything? And I know you've been right about all of this, and you're just so I know. How do you feel?
There are no good feelings.
Never.
No, they're a disgrace, an embarrassment. If more people cared about them, it would be on much more of a national scale than it is. But it's still, to a degree, is being talked about. At least not. I mean, I know that we're going to get into this later, but like, I don't know if either of you boys listen to Pardon My Take. Obviously, it's a very big sports podcast. They played the fucking Schriffen clip on the Monday show in Milwaukee, and they were making fun of him, and Big Cat said that he's the worst play-by-play guy up there with the woman in Oakland. And
they compared. I didn't see that. That's fantastic.
And I was listening to it at work, and I was like, oh my god, here we are. This is the whatever, one of the top 3 most listened to sports podcasts in the world, and they're playing a clip of our play-by-play guy making fun of him. It hits different when the shitstorm turns national, and I love it. As awful as it is, I love it because I want everybody to know how bad we have it and how bad just everything about it is, so that we're not suffering in silence.
That's a very good point, because and I'll talk about it once I get to the Cubs series, because we still got to talk about the Brewers and everything. But there's a lot of people, and I literally think I have like 5 White Sox friends, including you two, and we're like, I met Deech and we met a couple times, but never like, we're not like really, really good friends, where it's just all my friends are Cubs fans. So there's a lot of things that, they were like, oh, wow, they played pretty. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. And yeah, we'll talk about that. But first, they did play the Milwaukee Brewers, and we talked about it here. I think all three of us said that they weren't going to win any of the games. And they did such that. They didn't win any of the games. But what they did do is they did have an opportunity to win every single game in that series. And it just all went downhill. And they just couldn't figure anything out. And they went into Milwaukee, and they got swept right out of there. So the one big thing was obviously the game where we had, and they were scoring a couple runs, and then they decided to, and I will ask you guys this before we get into the call, do you think they should have sent Tommy Pham, or was Christian Yelich too close? Because I felt he was too close, and I think they should have kept him there. So, Justin, what do you think about that? And did you see that play this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, not live. The only thing I saw live from the Brewers series this weekend was I tuned in for the walk-off on Saturday, of course. That was it. But I did obviously have seen the Pham play, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like I actually have no idea if Yelich is known for his arm or not, or whatever. I mean, he was out by a mile, so it's easy to say don't send him. They also, I mean, it's the same thing. You can get into the fucking. I had this debate at the bar last night about Duke Ellis getting picked off second because they wanted him to take third with less than 2 outs, so that you didn't need a hit to score him. And I think it's kind of a product of the same thing of like, they're so bad they don't have guys in their lineup that they can trust to get a hit with guys in scoring position and drive in crucial runs in big spots. So it might not have been a good send of Pham, but at the same time, like, what the alternative is, what the next guy who comes up strikes out and strands him there anyway. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the biggest problem, is that we've been so bad at scoring that you could blame the third base coach, but what is he going to do? This was our opportunity to score, and they have not proven that they can hit with runners in scoring position. So, and thank goodness Luis Robert came back on Tuesday. He makes the lineup look a little better. But, like, the lineup is just disgusting and awful. And the fact that, like, even, like, today, seeing Duke Ellis in center field, and, again, nothing against Duke, and we'll talk about him with the Cubs series, but, yeah, I don't know. So, Deech, what did you think about the Brewers, and what did you think about the call, or, like, sending Tommy and everything? Because what was the score at that time? Wasn't it, like 5-4 or 5 or 6-5, something like that? Because I think that was the tie, right?
Yeah, they were down 1 with the Pham, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. So, Deech, what did you think about that? And do you think you should have sent him?
I mean, this all goes back to the whole, we're going to execute, we're going to play good defense, we're going to play baseball like it's supposed to. They don't fucking do any of that. Yeah. So, I mean, when you suck completely and you essentially know, unless some miracle happens, such as, I mean, if Yelich throws the ball away or throws it not accurately to home plate, Pham would technically have been safe. So they're essentially every single game, if they're down by a run or tied, throwing the Hail Mary and hoping someone in the end zone just catches it and they pull off a win. I mean, it's pathetic. You had to send him there. Like Justin said, what are you going to sit there and fucking have him stand there while someone strikes out? I mean,
exactly. It's unfair criticism to place on the third base coach when he can't do anything about the guys who are coming up behind him.
Yeah, they have not literally done anything that they said they were going to do off season, and it's just finally just
last 2 off seasons. And I mean, we didn't even mention, because I didn't even think about it. The same thing that happened too in that game was fucking Zach Remillard. Whatever the hell he was doing for whatever the hell reason, the Sox could have actually scored Zach Remillard because Tommy Pham came up and hit a double, I think it was, over, and it was a ground rule double, and we didn't score because Zach got out and the guy was on first. So if Tommy hit the double, Zach would have scored, it was tied, and then the fly ball possibly could have given us the lead. But we would have at least been tied. And at that time, we had a 3-1 lead, too, and then they got 4-3. So, I just wanted to ask you guys about that because, it was just a little. And then that call happened, and we saw Tommy Pham get a little feisty, and he apparently hurt his ankle and is now on the IL. Of course he did, because why wouldn't he have hurt himself running into somebody? But John Schefter had a little bit to say after that, and Deets, you want to tell the people exactly what Schefter said? Because they're
he just went on about how Tommy Pham's not going to take this. It doesn't matter how many L's it's like, okay, let's not highlight that we're fucking just getting
right.
That one, I mean, I dislike Schriffen as much as others have started to. Who the fuck else is going to take the job? I mean, like we were talking about Chris Volsters no longer being with the Hawks.
Shit, give me the job. Call me. I'll do a better job than this guy.
The Hawks just brought in, though, someone who has been doing it for 10 or 12 years for the Calgary Flames. I mean, the Blackhawks have Connor Bedard, where you can be like, here, this will be exciting for you.
Yeah, and Stanley Cup banners.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox have a bunch of guys that apparently were trading at the deadline so that the Kannapolis Cannonballers can fucking win the single A championship. I mean, this shit's just getting ridiculous. They lied completely on the podium when Chris Getz took over. He said he was going to turn this around. If anything, it seems to be going in the direction of ripping it apart more. And half of the fan base is too concerned about Pedro Grifol having a fucking job day in and day out that they could give a shit about what's actually transpiring in front of their faces. I mean, the whole thing is stupid. Charlie Montoya isn't going to change.
The Charlie Montoya thing is so true because it's such a White Sox thing to do. They would just
Well, they didn't like him in Toronto. The players literally ran him out in Toronto. So you want either Pedro or him to be developing these prospects that we are clamoring about coming up in the second half of the season. Really, neither of them are qualified to fucking be developing prospects.
Yeah, no. And I think that
to argue that Montoya is going to be any different, that motherfucker has been in the dugout the entire time with Pedro Grifol. If he had any of his own knowledge or fucking voice, wouldn't that have already been said to Pedro? I mean, what's going on here? Nothing. It's all just stupid at this point.
I think that's the biggest thing, and it's just they just do the stupidest things and the stupidest things that he does and the stupid facial expressions that he makes, or it just and the bullpen decisions. Why are we bringing in certain guys in this point, or why are we leaving in a guy longer, or why didn't they leave in Garrett Crochet when he was still hitting, as Frank Thomas said, when he was hitting? Why not just try to give him another inning? It's better than, maybe Garrett don't pitch a couple innings one day, or they skip him. We need to win. And at this time, they were on a 9-game losing streak. And now they're on a 13-game losing streak because they got swept by the Brewers. They got their ass kicked. They didn't get their ass kicked, but on Sunday they got a 2-run lead, and then they gave it right back in the bottom of the second, and there was no coming back from that. So they as I said, they went to Milwaukee. They got swept. We had a day off, and I thought it'd be a little bit better. Honestly, Monday was kind of nice not having to watch this team because we were getting ready for the Crosstown Classic and the Crosstown Cup, whatever the hell you want to call it now. And I don't know about you two, but I always love these series because it always feels like a World Series, and it always feels like these two games are just always fun. And as I was saying earlier, all I have is Cubs fans, so sometimes it's nice. But I knew coming into this series, I was like, the White Sox are trash and this and that. But the Cubs were also playing bad. But I've noticed every time a team's playing bad, they certainly know how to play against the White Sox because they figure it out. So Tuesday looked pretty good. We got Luis Robert back. We were hitting a couple bombs. We're doing our thing, feeling good. And then the bullpen comes in and they blow it, and the Sox lose. So that was fun. And then yesterday, they did the exact same thing. They literally they didn't even start the game on time on the TV because as they started it on the TV, Corey Joltz was running around first base already and already hit the home run. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at least on my TV, it was like all of a sudden I thought it was a replay of whoever hit the home run on.
I was still walking to the bar. I just saw the tweet from Merkin I didn't even realize that it wasn't on TV.
Yeah, I thought it was like a replay of Lennon Sosa's. I'm like, wait, and then all of a sudden they showed Corey. I'm like, wait, he's leading off. I was like, okay, whatever. And then they did, and they got some hits. Nicky Lopez seems to be hitting the ball, and I will talk about Corey Jolts. I love Corey Jolts. Corey Jolts getting this opportunity is great. Oscar Colas got a base hit. Oscar Colas, guys, I know Deech's favorite player of all time. I'm going to buy him an Oscar Colas jersey. But they were doing good. And then they did exactly the same thing they did on Tuesday. They blew it. And then some guy named Waka Man, or I don't even know how the hell to say his name. And he comes up first pitch, bottom of the ninth, and it was at the bottom of the ninth, right? Bottom nine, that's right. He hits a walk-off home run, and Cubs fans celebrate, and we have to hear that lame-ass song that they all think. But the Cubs are still 6 games out of first place, so that did not help the Cubs at all. So, anyway. But the Cubs series was a disaster because, as I said last week, I didn't care what the hell happened, but just please beat the Cubs. And they just could not finish the games, and it was just a disaster in every which way. Where both games, Paul DeYoung, Luis Robert hit home runs to tie the game, and then they just gave it was just like, and on Tuesday, the rain. The Cubs getting too lucky with this goddamn rain. I don't know what it is, but these guys go into the locker room and have a World Series type of whatever. Because Chris Flexen was pitching great. He might have won 6-7 innings if that rain didn't happen.
Well, he came back out. That was my biggest gripe this entire fucking series of
so there you go. So so go ahead, because I was going to be on my question.
Because that's fine if you want to pull him after the rain delay. Whatever. That's understandable. He's out of his rhythm. It's unfortunate because it was his best start of the year. But when you let him come back out and he still pitches well in the 5th, and you have a dog shit bullpen, why did you let him come back out at all if he was only getting one more inning? Just pull him then. To bring him back out and then pull him when you don't have you don't have people who can get guys out. So I don't understand the thought process of, well, the bullpen was rested. Well, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? No, they're not. They're good pitchers, so it doesn't matter how much rest they have. That was the most mind-numbing thing of the entire, and there's a lot to pick from in those 2 games. Believe me. You have a guy who was having his best start of the year. Either don't send him back out at all. 5 innings is his limit because it doesn't seem to have anything. It didn't seem to have anything to do with the rain delay, and he's going to play his well-rested bullpen of guys who suck.
And the first guy he brought out was fucking Justin Anderson. Justin Anderson is not a guy you bring in that pitch with the win. You bring him out when the Sox are losing 12-5 and he can get a couple innings. The same guys that are actually – and if they're rested, where's Jordan Leisure? Where's flipping some of these other guys?
He did pitch one of the nights, though.
No, he did end up – I think it was yesterday he ended up pitching, right? Or did he pitch – no, he pitched later on in that game on Tuesday.
Leisure pitched Tuesday.
Huh?
Leisure pitched Tuesday because people were criticizing Pedro for not putting in Kopech against, I think it was like the Bellinger, it was like the heart of the Cubs order, and he threw in Leisure in the 8th inning and then was saving Kopech or whatever. So
but again, like they had a 5-0 lead on Tuesday and they blew it and they lost 6-5. And then yesterday they had a lead 5-1. And as soon as they got that 5-3 run deficit, I was like, well, I'm just waiting for it to be blown. And it's like this team does not. You need to have like a 12-run lead with this bullpen, and who knows, that might not even be safe because it's just And yeah, I mean, there's so much to pick from. And Deech, is there anything you want to talk about with the Cubs series that
I mean, you didn't even need rain or anything to fuck up the game. You just bought 2 runs in and lost the game that way.
Well, so that
sucks.
Somebody said that in the chat. Yes, he does. He's so bad.
I feel bad. We were talking about it last night. That's a sad career because he was very good before the injuries, and now he just doesn't have it anymore.
He was so good, and I think that's the thing. And the Cubs got 1 hit, and they scored all those runs yesterday.
Yeah.
1 hit.
Yeah.
The walks. the walks, and then the walks, the walks and the balks. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the fact that two different pitchers did it in what, 2 different innings or the same inning is like, well, what are we doing here? Now we don't know how to do the basics and the simple things that we should know how to do because I don't know.
First said they all shit their pants when they have a lead. They don't know how to win. They can't close out games. And then when they go down, there's literally no words to describe how pathetic this honestly has become. Each year we sit here and we're like, oh, it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. I mean, if they trade Robert and Crochet at the deadline,
well, what are they going to be?
It's going to get fucking bad. I mean, you are out at least 5 years. And this whole bullshit of like, well, to supplement the core that's like, there's so many insane fucking arguments going on as to why you should trade our 2 best players. One was literally the last rebuild was like they had one core, but then didn't have anything after that. I don't give a fuck. I'm not a fucking Kannapolis Cannonballers fan or Birmingham Barons fan. I'm a White Sox fan. So like,
and listen, and that's what we love our guy Elijah. That's what Elijah's a huge fan of those teams, so he can help us. So then when they do come to the White Sox, and that's the thing. I mean, how many guys have we seen that so they could smash it in AAA, but they can't do anything in the major leagues? So I just don't have any type of anything, and
I appreciate like what Future Sox and all those do. Like the coverage is great on our minor league system. I just don't understand how the GM who is brought in to do this quicker than anyone else has spent the last year beating off for a year and a half to essentially tear it down, which any other GM could have been brought in to do. I mean, if they trade those 2, it's literally just the biggest slap in the face because it's like you literally went the exact opposite of what you said you were going to do.
You got to have guys, like I said last week, you got to have guys on the team that are going to be here for the bads, and they thought it was going to be Jose, and, well, it should be Robert and Crochet. You got to have some good guys on this team because, I mean, what is the rotation going to look like? You're going to be out there pitching. You still got 15 games to go to, you said. So, Justin, I think Deech will be pitching for the Sox by September. Imagine.
That would be the only thing that gets me to watch.
We'll be there to support you, Deech.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm in complete agreement with Deech on this. The trading the few assets you have, like it's a Rick Hahn. It's just a buying time as the GM move. Then you can't be like, well, I can't win with this roster. I don't have anybody, but I have all these prospects that are coming up, and we're just going to live the same thing again. It's truly what it's heading for.
It's like a repeated cycle that we cannot get out of. Like that's kind of what these last 2 weeks, 15 days, 14 days, whatever the hell it's been. I just feel like I'm watching the same game over and over and over again.
Not a rebuild. When Deech talks about being lied to at the podium, like I obviously didn't buy a lot of that shit that was spewed, but there were a few things I believed, and one was that he would actually try to make them a better defensive team.
And they've just gotten worse.
And the other,
well, I think that's the thing. They're just getting worse.
Try to win. I didn't know if he'd succeed in that, but if you trade Robert and Crochet after saying it wasn't a rebuild, like trading Cease was whatever. I didn't take issue with that. Start anew this year, and these guys are locked up, and there's just no reason to. Crochet's finally the guy you drafted out of Tennessee, and you're just gonna move him they're gonna get less than they got for Dylan Cease. They're talking about San Diego being the most interested team. We already got their high-end package for a starting. So you're going to get less than the Cease trade, which some people were underwhelmed by. I get Thorpe's been good, and I'm so fucking tired of, pardon my French, of seeing these prospect Noah Schultz and Colson Montgomery and Drew Thorpe and Ed Caro are all top 100 prospects. It's like no one ever learned anything. Remember when we had like 7 guys in the top 100? Remember when Yohan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez and Michael Kopech were all top, like Dane Dunning when they were all top 100 prospects? Like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything at all.
Man, I think that's the biggest thing, and it's funny that you say that about the prospects because I found this YouTuber and I want to get his YouTube up to give him a shout out because I found this YouTube that does a lot of videos on baseball and like does like a lot of like interesting things, and he did a video. I want to find exactly who it was and who his name was. I watched it a few days ago, but it was about how bad the Chicago White Sox, like the downfall of them, the brutal decline of the Chicago White Sox, guys, made the cut. Go check it out. And it was just he talks about it how they had Yoan, Michael Kopech, they made the trade for Cease and Eloy, and they traded what's his face, Adam Eaton to the Nationals for Giolito and Lopez and Dunning, and how they were just building this talent. And it's like we've seen a little type of everything, but they still have not even all played. The five of them have not played probably 20% of the games together. They've all just, and I think that's the biggest thing is why are we going to buy into it if all these guys, we've already seen that. So it's like, that's great and all that you can do that, but I want to see it on the field. And that's what I keep saying. And people, I see them in the chat talking about Caleb Williams. It's like, I want to believe in Caleb, but how many times have the Bears failed? I just want to see it be done. And it's funny that you brought up the prospect numbers because I have this little picture, and it doesn't show the prospect list, but it shows what they're doing. And they're trying to compare it to the 2005 White Sox. And it's like the 2005 White Sox won a World Series. They did that in the playoffs. These guys are doing it in the regular season of Double A.
Double A, yeah.
So it's like it's not, and it's great to see these numbers by Eater. Well, okay, Eater's numbers aren't great. Thorpe, Noah, Kai, all these guys. But again, how do we know they're going to come up and be this good when they get to the MLB? So,
isn't that a pitcher-friendly league as a whole too? Isn't that like what its reputation is?
The Double A,
one way around or the other. It's usually like impressive if guys are hitting in that league, in the league that Birmingham's in.
Yeah,
I think it's considered a pitcher-friendly league.
Yeah, your best pitchers are normally in Double A.
So, I
really, I just can't get over some of the arguments I've seen for like trade. Well, Robert only has 4 more years. It's like, well, Noah Schultz only has 6 years once we bring him up, and he's a fucking Scott Boras client too. So we might as well just ship his ass the fuck out too. I mean, there's just so many stupid arguments where it's like, so instead of keeping Luis Robert for 4 years, we'd rather trade him for like 3 18-year-olds who may be good after Luis Robert retires. Like, what the fuck? I mean,
if I see Luis Robert in another jersey, I'm gonna cry because I don't care about anybody else. But that home run on Tuesday, or was it? Yeah, that was Tuesday. I don't know. It made me feel a little better. It was like I just remembered some of the big games, some big home runs that he had when he hit I don't know. So I really pray that they don't. But you know what? Just a random signing because the White Sox love to do that. They got Michael Chavez. Wasn't he on the Red Sox?
Yeah, Michael Chavez.
Oh, is it Chavis? Okay. So gotta love it. Random signings. But I don't really
baseman. Vaughn's gonna lose his job.
I mean, Vaughn's been hitting the ball the last few days. So I don't know, maybe that off day, maybe that's what his issue was. But we'll have to see. So is there anything else you want to talk about though from this past week? Is there anything I'm missing? I know Nico Herner got called out, that had a little wide plate, whatever, but I mean, it is what it is. So but anything I missed from this past 5 games that we're trash and that we sat through, or at least I sat through? You want to talk about this week now? Because they get to go and they get to face those Boston Red Sox, and they get to go face the Seattle Mariners. So that's fun. So we get to stay up till 9 o'clock, White Sox fans, to watch this team lose. So since Deech got disappeared for a second, Justin, when does this losing streak end?
Probably sometime this weekend, just because Boston's like a miserably 500 team. So it's not to say they'll split the series, but they'll probably find a way to take one. Boston is just inconsistent at playing. Well, they're consistent at being 500, kind of like the Sox were a couple years ago. So I would imagine the Sox find a way to win one, and that's more of a Boston thing than a Sox thing, though. Yeah.
It's just a jersey thing, right?
Yeah.
Gotta love it. So Deech, you said what day are you going? And hey, you're gonna walk on the field, bro. That's pretty cool. Listen, I know that the White Sox suck, but like, still be on a professional baseball field's got to be pretty cool. So, what game are you going to? You said for this weekend?
Saturday I'll be there. They have their ticket holder appreciation week this week, so.
Hey, at least we appreciate somebody, right?
Well, yeah, I guess I don't. You want to know? Show us appreciation is like put a team together that can play competent baseball, but we can't even do that. So, and it's not even just against the players. Like they'll probably, I would hope they win a game against Boston. Hopefully, it's Crochet's start tomorrow. So got to boost his trade value before we go into the deadline.
Hell yeah! I think we should all come here, depending on what happens. If they do trade, so like if the Sox do trade somebody, or if the Sox trade for somebody, I think we come here and just talk about it real quick, because I think it's gonna be real interesting to see like what will happen. I mean, again, we they say this every year, and then sometimes nothing happens. So let's hope they just do. And so we're gonna do the picks to click here. I'll show the schedule for or the lineup for tonight after. But then. So you guys are going to say 1 out of 3 each, right? Then for the series?
I think it's 4, isn't it?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, so 1 out. Are you saying 1 out of 3 each?
1 and 3.
1 and 3. My bad. So 1 and 3 for this week, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's actually a 4-game series against Seattle. I did not know that. And then they play the Diamondbacks in Arizona, so that's fun. But we'll talk about the Diamondbacks next week. So we have 4 games with Boston and 4 games with Seattle. And I don't know about Seattle and you guys, but there have been so many games that I remember watching with these guys where the White Sox love to have big leads, and then they love to blow it. So Seattle, I think the last time I saw a good game in Seattle was Philip Humber's perfect game back in 20 whatever the heck, and they were trying to talk about that a couple of days ago, and I was like, we're trying now to go back to Philip Humber? So what do you guys think about Seattle? And I mean, I don't know, everybody should start in both series. So Deech, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think for Seattle? Do you think we get on a little winning streak, or do you think we win one and then just shit the bed again?
No, I think we'll probably win one of each series. It's hard to sweep a 4-game series, but out of the 2 teams, Seattle would be the one to most likely sweep us. But yeah, there's just no reason to think anything's going to change. We're going on 2 weeks of just watching them lose. So,
isn't that sad? It's so much.
They'll probably get swept by Seattle.
It's also in Seattle too, so that's the other thing too. So I kind of agree with you guys on that, and it's so sad because we've done 2 episodes and these motherfuckers have not won a game. Like, that's so sad. We thought last year was better. At least they were winning a couple games every week, but like this is like they could very well. And I saw a question in the Twitter page. And I do want to get to the questions now that we did that and everything else like that. But we had a question, and our guy Vinny, shout out to Vinny, always taking part of the picks to click and everything. He asked, do you guys think the White Sox even win 50 games this year? No? Deech, what do you think? 50 and 112.
50 and 112?
I think that's what it would be, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They won't win more than 50.
They win. Maybe 51.
There's nothing to. Apparently, we're trading everyone that's an asset at the deadline. So I don't know.
Where are you hearing? Okay, where are we hearing this from? Is this people on Twitter, or is this like Jeff and Ken Rosenthal?
No, these are real reports.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're apparently shopping both of them. I mean, granted, I don't know what team is going to just give up with the asking price for Robert, but Crochet, I mean, who knows at this point? I don't.
Like, my question would be: is if they trade Crochet, who are you? Are you bringing up Drew Thorpe? Are you bringing up Jonathan Cannon? Like, who's going to be? Are we watching a rotation of John Woodford, fucking some bullpen dude? What are we watching here? Because that's my question. Because I think you put Garrett as the number 1, and you have Schultz, you have Thorpe, you have like that. You have a good solid 5 rotation. what's the point of trading that? Like, and again, like you said, like with Crochet and like San Diego, what are we getting? Or Justin said San Diego. What are we getting from San Diego that we already didn't get for Dylan Cease? Because I feel like Dylan Cease is Dylan Cease has been in the league more. He's done and he's proved it more. Gary Crochet's having a good half a season. We don't know, but it just, I don't know. These prospects make me mad because again, what are you just going to take more from San Diego unless you're getting a major? I don't know. So and again, Luis Roberts should get like 5-6 players if you're really going to trade him, and I'm going to throw something if they do because then I will officially have no more baseball bats signed from White Sox players that are no longer on the team. He's the last one I got left, and he's the only reason why to watch this team now. I feel like. Like that, I don't know, that home run on whatever. Like, I haven't had that much excitement watching a White Sox game in forever, and I don't. It just sucked.
I just think you need to take into consideration how shitty Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, how many pitchers' arms are getting blown out like this year. It definitely appears to be an uptick. I get there's value in trading Garrett Crochet, and you can probably cash in and get prospects for him, but you can't even go into free agency and sign a mid-level tier pitcher without some BS happening now. I mean, there's so many pitcher injuries. You literally have Crochet, who really by his own volition became a starter and was just like, I'm going to set this as my goal. And he's going out there every single outing and putting together very solid pitching performances. And like you asked what the rotation would be. If they run out a rotation of like 4 or 5 young guys next year, the bullpen's going to be shit no matter who you have out there because 4 or 5 of them are going to sit there and constantly give you 4 or 5 innings a game. So, I mean, there's no logic to completely ridding every asset from the organization unless you're just flat out telling fans, fuck you, for the next 5 years, we're going to be a minor league baseball team. I mean, this is ridiculous.
We're becoming the Oakland Athletics. Like, the Athletics are at least even I was talking to somebody and they were talking about the Astros. I'm like, I'd love to have the Astros record right now. Shit, 13 more wins, I'd take that all day long. So, been good venting for the last 37 minutes. I don't even know if it's been venting, but just angry talk. But let's get to the chat. Let's see what everybody's doing. We got like 50 chats, so let's try to get through all these as I don't think there's really too much else to talk about. I'm sure they have a lot of questions that we have not talked about. So we got Max in the house. Max wanted to join, but hey, you know what? You know what? Since you've been on the podcast, we've only won 1 game. I think it's your fault. Dead ass. And John Anyway, no more. I don't know, man. We got to do something to break this. Eric says, "Oh, yes, Eric. Thank you for that. I know. I appreciate that, Eric. Thank you. I love it's the same room. I just took down the green screen. This is my makeshift background until I move because I had to sell the stuff that I had the green screen in, and I can't hold the green screen up now. So, no more green screen until we are in the new house, guys. Soroka sucks. I think that's all you got to say about that. Mike Soroka sucks. We got the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, in the house. We're still trying to figure out who this is. Not really Cody Rhodes. Once in a lifetime. Yes, Jadis. One-hit wonders. Thank you, Jadis, for coming and hanging out. I appreciate you. But let's not. You guys, Justin, you watch basketball, right?
Yeah.
Who you got in the finals? First game.
Pulling for the Mavericks simply because I hate the Celtics. But
okay.
Obviously, the Celtics are the favorites. I could easily see the Mavericks winning, though. I guess I'll go on record with Dallas. I'm not going to go on record with Boston. I hate Jason Tatum. I hate the Celtics.
Man, the Celtics have always been the basketball
for me.
You don't watch basketball, Deets, do you?
I do. I've been paying attention a little bit. I haven't watched most of the games, but I mean, I'd prefer the Mavericks as well. I'd fuck Boston.
Yeah, I think that's probably the consensus of everybody in the country outside of the New England area.
And they just get it all in the New England area. What happened to Yelich? I mean, listen, Yelich is still. I mean, I still think Yelich is a good player. He's no
seasons in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, he has had a lot of good things, and they've Christian Yelich is I kind of forgot he was on the Miami Marlins. I was watching a documentary about the Marlins when they had like D. Gordon, Giancarlo Stanton. They went out and got Ozzie and Burley and all of that crazy talk. I was like, I forgot about all of that. Who could forget? Remember I remember when Burley and Ozzie went there, and I was like, what are we doing?
Who was the prospect that the Marlins got back for Christian Yelich? I can't remember.
Louis Brinson.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be literally like one of the top
he
prospects.
Was supposed to be Luis Robert, is what they were like. They were like hyping him up to be like the next Mike Trout guy like that. Like,
I don't even think he's in the league anymore.
No, I don't think he's been for quite some time.
I think he got traded. Didn't he get traded from the Brewers or from the Marlins to somewhere else? And then
definitely somewhere else.
Because he man, I remember watching his debut. He debuted against the Cubs on opening day, and I think Ian Happ hit a opening day first pitch home run, and after that the Marlins got screwed, and then or like that game they just sucked, and I think he went like 0 for 4. I was like, damn. Let's see. We got Daniel in the house. What's up, Daniel? Jadis, you're asking all these basketball questions, bro. This is not a basketball show. Eagles, Packers can't wear green. Listen, I will not wear green. I will not wear Milwaukee. I will be wearing my White Sox. Probably Bears stuff by that time because fuck the White Sox. I'm going to be wearing my Chicago gear everywhere. Fuck the Packers. Fuck the Brewers. Screw all the Milwaukee teams. People think because I'm moving to Wisconsin, I am rooting for all these teams now. Hell no. I might put a White Sox and a Bears flag right outside of my house just to prove a point. You know? Yes, 15 and 40. Thank you for comparing us to the Pistons, Jadis. Thank you. Thank you, Jadis. I appreciate that. See, okay, now Jadis is just mean. This is why we don't know. This is why we go through the. I am not in Wisconsin. I will not be in Wisconsin until the end of June, and we will be talking about that too next week. When and how all that will be going. I hope the Bears are better than the White Sox, Jadis. I think the Bears. I hope the Bears have a good season. I mean, if they call, I think any three of us could do better than White Sox. At least the bullpen right now, shit. Let me throw right down the middle. I'm sure I could try to, you know. I also wouldn't hit somebody. Well, okay, I might hit somebody, but like. Okay, wrestling questions. Listen, guys, I love you all, but you guys got to save those wrestling questions for tomorrow and everything. So we have a couple more, but this is just Jadis now being mean about the White Sox. So he says the White Sox need to go on a 30-game. Imagine. It's never going to happen, but just imagine a team going on some like crazy-ass run after being so bad. Not the White Sox, just in general.
Like that dictionary, Jay, if you're going to try and talk shit, bud, that's not that kind of ceiling. That's like stealing a fucking tub or whatever.
What steal? What is don't listen.
Stealing correctly. I mean, if you're going to come in here and blow up the fucking chat and make read all your fucking comments, at least fucking use the right ceiling.
Yeah.
Listen, Jadis, because you're not asking good questions. No more questions from Jadis. I'm done with Jadis. Jadis, no MVP for you today. So that is all the questions that we have because Jadis now is just being mean. So anything else you want to talk about before we do the picks to click for today? Because yes, we still got to do the picks to click. It ain't fun, but let's just get through it.
Sure.
Should we see Justin versus? I want to see Justin versus Jadis now. Let's do it. 2K. So let's take a look at this lineup. Let's do the picks to click, and then we'll say goodbye, and we'll let Deech and go, and we'll let Justin go, and yeah. So lineup tonight, boys, for the White Sox, 15 and 47, 13-game losing streak. You gotta love it. Taking on the Boston Red Sox. We got Zach.
Who's the pitcher?
Jake Woodford.
Where did he? Who the fuck is that?
He said he pitched a couple weeks ago, and I think he was in AAA Deach, right?
Yeah, they brought him up when Clevenger got hurt.
Oh, sure. Okay.
That's what it was. That's right. It was Clevenger. This shouldn't be speaking of Clevenger, this should only be the second start and the last start he misses. Compare whatever, we'll have to see.
Pedro said Clevenger is going to need multiple rehab starts. He also said Yoa Moncada won't be ready after the All-Star break like they thought. It's taking longer for.
Oh my gosh!
I'll go Andrew Vaughn pick the click.
Gotta love it. Okay, well, let's go over it real quick. Zach Deloach, whatever the hell you want to call him. Nicky Lopez at second. I will say Nicky's been hitting the ball a little bit lately. Luis Robert at DH. Grifal had that to say about Robert, and he's going to play a couple days, then he's going to be off Saturday, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Right field, we got Gavin Sheets, Andrew Vaughn at first base. Paul DeYoung getting me a point yesterday. I'll take that. Shortstop. Corey Lee, guys. Corey Lee, I got to say, is probably one of the more exciting. We've talked about him, and we've talked about him a lot on the show, but seeing his progress and seeing him be able to hit the ball and like the way he has been is really good. Lennon Sosa finally got a home run. That's good. And then the center fielder that has 2 stolen bases, but he's making his first MLB start tonight. It is Duke Ellis. So just for the hell of it, I'll take Duke Ellis. So, Deech, who are you taking for today's Picks That Click?
Corey Lee.
Okay. And then, Justin, who did you say you were going to take again?
With AB.
Okay. So, guys, we're going to go Duke Ellis for Tino. We're going to go Andrew Vaughn for Justin. And then, Deech, who did you say again? I'm sorry.
Corey Lee.
Corey Lee. Okay. So, that is what we got for the Picks That Click. So, let's see if we can continue that. And I don't know. But it's so sad to see that lineup. And, it is what it is. So, he said it. Jadis, you calm down, bro. It is just a team. And that is why I'm going to say don't get yourself worked up and don't get – I try not to, at least. I did the 2 Cubs series, but I don't know. There's something about the Cubs series. I just always want to beat the Cubs. So they go and face the Red Sox and the Mariners, and we'll be back here next week for another Southside Boys episode, and hopefully it's a better one. And hopefully they win a few games. But you got anything else you want to say, guys, before we go here today?
I'm all good.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming here and hanging out. Remember to go follow all the social medias. Go and hit that like button on this episode. Subscribe. On the road to 3K, go get yourself some merchandise. Guys, we have some more merchandise orders. Go get yourself some merch. You don't have to like the White Sox, but, hey, go and support the Southside Boys. And also, big shout-out to our Twitter community, Sharon, tweeting out, making us feel a little better because the White Sox do suck, but the Southside Boys don't. So, go do all that good stuff. Go and hit the like button, subscribe. And lastly, turn that notification button on so you know when we go live next, which will be tomorrow night for Friday Night SmackDown. Guys, enjoy your Thursday night, and I'll see you all back here on Tino's time tomorrow night. And the Southside Boys will see you back here next Thursday for another episode at 5 p.m.